CD cycling shoes.
Well, good afternoon to you, and jolly good afternoon it is. Well, not that good at the finish in San Remo of this Milan San Remo, the opening of the big single-day classics, and of course the start the Pro Tour series, I think, in the best. But let's look back at what's happened in the past here. The big sprinters have survived the total course of 294 kilometres and they come thundering down the finishing straight. There, Zabel, Pataki, Pozzato, in that order, have been victors. And again, we're going to see them in action today. Well, sometimes riders make a lone escape. We're not going to see the same thing this time round. I don't think so at all. And so I say button your seatbelts and wait for what's going to happen. So maybe CSC can produce a rider this time round who's going to win overall. We don't know. But the Pro Tour last year, by the way, which produced some of the top riders in the Pro Tour series, sulked, by the way. Only 12 riders turned up to the presentation yesterday.
J'ai fait déjà une fois la finale pour Paolo, quand il gagne. Et l'année passée et l'année d'avant, Paolo fait la course pour moi.
Yeah, well, he's got off there. We're now getting information coming by headphones, by the way, what's happening there. But we're just looking about what happened to Tom Bonan in the race last year. Well, Tom would like to win this one, I'm pretty sure about that.
Aller d'avant, j'ai dit OK, venir avec les Rebellines ou quelque chose, j'ai dit non, mais c'est pas moi qui dis tu restes avec moi. Quand on descend le podio, il est encore avec moi, c'est la course pour moi, mais c'est la
well, certainly as far as he's concerned, finished back in fourth spot last year, Milan San Remo. Pozzato managed to get it for the team, but of course Pozzato now has split and gone off to another team. So it looks very interesting as what's going to happen this time round as far as Tom Bonan is concerned. Will he support Pozzato? I don't think so if they get towards the back end. Well, we've seen very interesting racing so far this season. Bettini's come down an awful box of tricks. In fact, he crashed 3 times in our coverage of the training of Adriatico, but he's soldiering on. The rumour was he wasn't going to start today in the Milan San Remo. He's going to start, and that's just it. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed then for him. Well, this man is in good form this time round, and let's see what's going to happen in the race yet to come. Pozzato then now switching over and changing teams. A look back there at this racing rider here, Rico, by the way, who not only won a couple of stages, he took the lead jersey as well. And some of the riders have been tapping the side of their nose before we started today, saying he might be a bit of a challenge today. Well, I don't know. We've not had a lone break like this for a long, long time to come. Looking now live at our coverage, you can see Bettini still in there, despite the fact that he's had some problems. He's in the main pack. They're all together, by the way, before we came on air. Sorry if I was disjointed with my little coverage of the script which we had looking back at what happened so far, because they kept telling me what's happened behind. We had a load of riders have fallen down, and they were trying to give us the numbers and saying this is what's happening, who's come off. But undoubtedly this is the main pack at the moment. Our breakaway group 5 riders at the moment down the road. I'll come back to them in just a moment. It's a bit hectic here in the commentary box. Welcome. My name is David Duffield, covering yet again for the 18th year, 19th year. God, doesn't time fly? The Milan San Remo. Gorgeous route towards the back end of the race, and over the last 2 or 3 years, by the way, you see now coming in towards the sea and the run alongside the seaside. We've got 2 climbs yet to come. If you're not very familiar with bicycle racing and you look on your map and you see where you start in Milan, more of that to none, heading down towards the coast over the one big climb of the day. Didn't cause much trouble today, as it never has done, and a lot of people are saying, well, let's try and break it up near towards the end, and that's been happening progressively over the years. They've been popping in the climbs at the back end, which you'll be seeing later on in this race. So yes, let the rabbits go down the road. let's get them caught, and then the field come back together. And if I can just find the results from last year, by the way, I can tell you in fact how many riders came across the line and how close they were to the victors. So you see down there where the jolly old water is, we'll end up back there, the riders will. And in fact last year there were 75 riders who came in within 16 seconds, believe it or not, after this 294 kilometre race. That's 184 miles in English money. And so they're saying, how do we break this thing up? Because this is probably the longest of the single-day classics in the calendar. And even at the end of it all, at this time of the year, they still have the bunch coming in towards the back end with so many riders in the frame to get the victory. In fact, last year they were in the saddle for 6.5 hours. And so, well, what's going to happen today? Another bunch sprint finish. Well, last year, as we tried to show you earlier on before the things happened, that Pizzato won the stage last year, or sorry, the Milan San Remo last year. Pataki was second, Paolini was third, and behind them, Bonan, Napolitano, Oscar Freire, Stefano Gazzali, Alessandro Ballan, and Martin Almiga and Martin Carrera were in the top 10. And we're looking back as we came on air about the crash that happened just down the road. You can imagine this enormous comeuppance of the bike riders, and it doesn't look to me like anybody's that badly knocked about, but you never know with bike racing. Often the fast crashes when you come down, you scrape yourself. In fact, one of the riders looking down there from Credit Agricole, and there were, by the way, let's go back to here's the graphics. We've been able to, it's gone, blashed. Anyway, you saw the lumpy bit at the back, we've been at the lumpy bit in the middle, and if you're on Saturday afternoon, because normally we're broadcasting single-day classics on Sunday, sort of flicking the channels and found cycling for the first time ever, and see what's going on there. When they crash, excuse me for those who, I'll come back, this is the breakaway group, by the way, I'll come back to in a minute, just go back to what happens in crashes. Often if you come down at a great rate of knots, and you skid, and you come off, you just scrape yourself, unless you hit the barricades at the side of the corner and over you go and break something coming down the other side. But falling at speed is not that bad. Often when you fall slowly, you put your hand out to stop yourself because you can see yourself going down and you break your collarbone. Here we are. This is the route, by the way, down alongside the sea where we are now, going in along towards the finish. See how flat it is, and later on you watch the lumpy bit coming on in a minute. I'll tell you about all these towns when we go through them in just a minute. Here we are. Oh, they didn't show the lumpy bit. Well, 294 kilometres into San Remo. Bit of a celebration, by the way, last night. All right, let's go and give you the names and rundowns on these riders who are in the lead, and then I'll come back and do the rabbit bit. We've got a breakaway group then at the moment. Oh, as I say that, there's somebody there, I'm pressing the wrong buttons, and he said, let's go back to the main bunch, and cause David some confusion. I will give you the names of those guys who are down the road. Pavel Brut from the Tinkoff credit system, Aito Hernandez from Euskadi, Emmanuel Sella from the Chiramani Panaria team. Who else is in there? Kurnitsky from the Aqua Supone team, and Cohen de Kurt from Astana. And in fact, they're breaking up now, because you can just see on the left-hand side of the screen a bit of activity going on from Pavel Butt from Tinkoff Credit Systems. He's for a team that's been very active all the way through the season so far, and you may also note, the observant amongst you, that it's a bit damp on the road, and in fact it has been persisting a little bit in the finishing area in the last hour or so, making life rather miserable. And of course, when we come to the bends and turns and twists, it makes it very dangerous as well, because these guys started out this morning somewhat 4 hours ago, and they pumped their tyres, or the mechanics did, full bore, and now they're riding over roads which, apart from the fact there's a bit of a dampness on them, when it comes down like this and you've got the diesel from the cars, it makes it very greasy indeed. And no way you can go off and change your wheels for like the motor racing guys do to get better grip in the wet. You ride what you've got, you can't lip off and reduce the pressure either, so you just cross your fingers and hope you don't fall off. Right, eyes down looking. By the way, Grandma's got nervous disposition, and they're going to start falling off again like that. I should be careful when we come to swift bends and turns yet to go. I can't remember, says he, tapping the old grey cells on his grey hair, the last time we had any rain on this great race. The Milan San Remo dates all the way back to 1907. Jolly good celebration last night. Who's going to win today? Hang on to you. Well, the cameraman picking up some of our colleagues in the commentary box and the operating arena too as well. So it's not often that people get to know what the hell we do. We sit in our little coupes and we sit here and we chat and we have an opportunity driving the course, talking to riders. It depends which event you're on and how far you've got to go to do the chat. The big thing, of course, Milan San Remo is to be there at the start, the Duomo. So we can give them the shots, by the way. That magnificent cathedral in Milan. And if I get a chance to go there and just see it and walk along the galleries alongside and just to soak up the atmosphere of that beautiful city, and then these guys just get on their bikes and hammer on down, and the rest of the entourage who are going to do the old chat then have to go like bats out of hell to get the commentary points, and then sit there and pontificate about what's actually happening. Well, often people think that we commentators travel on motorbikes or something amongst the race. That's not so. In fact, I'm jolly glad today that we're not out there, because it's a bit on the damp side. I just say I can't remember in all the years I've been coming to Milan San Remo that we've actually had a bit of it persisting down. No doubt somebody will enlighten me about this as time goes on. And certainly, by the way, that big celebration last night, absolutely amazing. A number of the pro teams didn't turn up, by the way, as they begin to gallop behind. This is where it all starts to hit the old fan. That the Milan San Remo, whoops, hang on. I'm completely confused, by the way, at the moment. Nothing's come out of my headphones. Oh, we're going back in time here, aren't we, to Mr. Cipollini hammering across here. That's right, but it's an amateur race which came in, by the way, and I can't understand that. We've just been told they popped the pictures in, and we have to rely upon what's coming up from the Italian friends of ours as what's going to come up, and just to confuse the enormous amount of trouble while we're trying to sort of chat to good people back at home. So, hey, come on. Well, my days when I used to be out there in the army in the other side of Muggia and Trieste playing basketball in the Italian basketball team, I could speak quite fluent Italian. Most of it was swear words, by the way, but I'm sorry we didn't get the information there, even in Italian or English or French or across our headphones. They pop these things out. They're jolly good at doing that, but who could blame them? It's their race. They've got their television company covering it, and we are very thankful that they're providing us these beautiful pictures, because we go back then, we've got on the left hand side pictures off a motorcycle camera here on the left hand side and the right hand side, and our cameras go up there to helicopters. People who just think, oh, well, let's pop cycle racing on television, have absolutely no idea about the complexity and the cost of covering bicycle racing. It's not like having a football game where you've got a pitch in front of you, you stick a number of cameras around there, everybody sits there, they can look down and they can go from this camera to that camera and nothing moves except the footballers. They don't move very fast anyway, do they? So it's not difficult. But here, you can imagine this lot, and they've got somebody trying to find out how far they're down the road in front of the main group behind. Pick up the guys that matter, and we're obviously going to see lots of Bettini, because it's our Italian television friends who are doing the camera work. And of course, with Bettini being the world champion, they're going to get lots and lots of pictures of him. But can he win today? Well, he won back in the year 2003. Says he's trying to give you some few facts and figures before they get some more pictures of people riding amateur races or falling off the bikes about 30 minutes ago. So back to a few facts and figures for those who are hanging on to cycle racing, having seen it for the first time. It was Bettini did the guy himself in 2003 that won this race, and we saw early pictures of last year's victor, Filippo Pozzato. Will it be a sprint finish? Will Pataki, who won in 2005, have a chance to get it this time round? Who will know? But of course the big threat, I suppose, if they come back together, is Oscar Freire, who won in 2004, 3 times world champion, looking in jolly good form at the moment. And so if we wanted it down the bookies, I would think possibly I'd put some money on Oscar Freire. The interesting thing, when we were covering the Tirreno Adriatico, that Eric Zabel decided to knock it on the head and go with about 1 or 2 days to go to come and train over the course. And Eric Zabel has won this race 4 times in succession, and in 2004 he finished back in second spot. Eric Zabel, well, let's see what he can do this time round, and well, I wish him the best of luck, by the way, because not many people are able to win this race several times on the trot, and the last time he won it was, what, 2001. Excuse me, I don't talk about these extra riders coming on the screen because they pop it back and forth, trying to fill in what's actually happening out there and how important it is for certain people to do certain things. And Eric Zabel, his best place was in 2004 in recent years, behind Freire in the sprint finish then. And of course he's got a long way to go after 4 victories to equal that of Eddie Merckx. Eddie Merckx, no less than 7 times winner of this race. The great Eddie Merckx still roundabout. We have the great opportunity of bumping into him, as many of you have been up to Dave Rayner fun dinner up there in Yorkshire will know. He's also turned up there and entertained us with his presence. And so Eddie Merckx, 7 times winner of this race, set that record. I'm not quite sure if Eric Zabel can start adding to his score. Of course, Eric Zabel was the man who in the end managed, well, not in the end, but has still been riding and overtook the great Sean Kelly when it came to wearing the green points jersey in the Tour de France. And one of my lasting memories was the occasion when Sean Kelly last won this race. My apologies for those, by the way, who may be looking at the, not if they put the trailer on the front of our program today, or you looked in your magazines or something to see who was going to do the chat today, but Sean Kelly was going to be with me, but unfortunately there were problems with his flight and he didn't make it, so I'm on my Todd. And don't ask your money back, by the way, dear viewer. Sorry about that. You've got to put up with me. Sean, unfortunately, couldn't be with us. All sort of problem with his flight. Well, Sean won the last time in 1992. I remember on that occasion, when travelling back to Great Britain, I had to be on the same plane eventually of the Irish rugby television people, and they were there from Dublin, very good friends of ours from the big race they used to hold down there, the Antostal in Ireland. Then they went on to the Nissan Classic, so they've had lots of stage races there, but the Nissan Classic ran for many years, of which Sean Kelly did some tremendous rides, and flying back to after the Milan San Remo, I had to bump into the Irish television guys and friends of mine way back in '92, and we were talking about the rugby that I came to, and I said, "What have you been doing?" I said, "Oh, I've been out for the Milan San Remo." Who won? Sean Kelly. And the whole of the people on there must be had 2/3 of them from Ireland, absolutely erupted for the bold Sean Kelly, who, having not only won it in 1992 but also way back in 1996 and was second in 1994. Just a few words there. He's very sort of modest chap, and we don't have much chance to blow his trumpet, but I'm saying that for you good people out there who listen to Sean now for the first time as one of our co-commentators, so having the opportunity without me sat alongside me to blow his trumpet. Do bear in mind we have a great bike rider working for us. Bit wet and miserable. Oh, where's the bucket and spades? Come on. Well, you can see what we're going through now, but no time for them to nip out there and enjoy the sunshine. It's one of the grottiest events, the Milan San Remo, I've ever come across. And for those who've been watching since we started our programme, we've got a breakaway group, by the way, just down the road of some 5 riders. More of them in just a moment because they're just hanging on, hopefully. And I'll try and keep my eye. Here they are. You're picking them up now, and there they go. And so you can pick up the leaders at the moment. Hernandez for Escotola, the rider in the black and the yellow just moving up there for Tinkoff. That's Pavel Butt. The one in the orange colours just peeling off from that breakaway. Yeah, that's Hernandez I just mentioned. Oh, and as I've started, back we go to the main pack. So this is the 100th anniversary of the Milan San Remo, and you can understand why. This is politics, by the way, that some of the promoters of various races are falling out with the governing body, the UCI, and why, despite the wonderful celebrations last night to celebrate the 100th year, certain teams didn't turn up because there's a bit of battle going on between the governing body with their Pro Tour series. And by the way, this is a guy who's just won the amateur race, just causing confusion to all and sundry. So I'll keep rabbiting on about the 100th anniversary. Only missed out in 1916, 1944, and 1945 to this race. So despite the war, the first one in 1916, I don't think the Italians were taking much part in it, but obviously it missed a bleat just there. But 44, 45, you can imagine it wasn't an easy race to run. Right, back then, as we can just pick up on our screens, and I should give them some mention. Very naughty of me not to do so, because we're just looking there at number 16, that's Kunetsky from the Acqua Sapone team, and of course that's an Italian-based team. They've split now somewhat, and Brute is driving this lot along, and every time I've been working this year for the coverage of our bike racing, we've seen these riders absolutely hammering away from the Tinkoffs. They're not part of the Pro Tour scene, but certainly they've always sent riders off down the road. And looking now, you can see how, let's talk about the race, like come back to history, by the way. The riders now beginning to well at the front of the race to try and make sure that nobody sticks off down the road. The main people, I think, could be in with a shout today for a victory. We've just seen the Milram riders starting to go through from 211 to 218, because they've got Pataki. He's wearing 211 on his back, by the way, and also Eric Zava has 212. So you're going to see all the time that they're going to be sitting near the front. Then the Milram team in the blue and the white on the right hand side. Excuse me. The guy in the black hat with the feathers is going to win the sprint. No, it's the boss on front. Sorry about this. Rather pleasant. Yes, looking out for the commentary point, they come trundling through. It's a great celebration. Well, why not? Because this is the 100th year since the Milan San Remo. We should not be joking about it, because this is history, this is tradition. What 100-year bike race have we got back in Great Britain? Those who are listening to our coverage across the rest of Europe, who listen to the English version, please bear with me if I stray back more to what applies to the British side of it. And by the way, before we get even further down the road, if I can just go back to the British side, we do have 4 riders from Great Britain taking part in the race this year. I better get them out of the way quick before the action starts again and we have more entertainment in the finishing straight. Roger Hammond is riding. David Miller, Jeremy Hunt and Steve Cummings, so I can't even remember writing. If you're looking for them down there in the main pack and you're looking for the colours and what have you, and David Miller riding for the Sonia Duval, that's the sort of yellow and whitish coloured team. He's got 181 up on his back, and he's in jolly good form, by the way. He's taking every day that comes, and he's seems to be in jolly good form for this particular race. Very happy about the thing. But you can imagine, from going as he did some 10 days ago, from winning the 8-kilometre prologue time trial in the Paris-Nice, from switching now to riding 294 kilometres in a big race like this. So look at to David Miller, 181 for Sonia Duval. So going from 5 miles in a prologue time trial and taking the leader's jersey and surviving the whole of the race and finish, what was it, 11th or 12th, to being here 184 miles. It's like getting, in the old days, Seb Coe from running on the track to go and run the London Marathon. But there we are. So David's doing just that. The rest of the rider, Roger Hammond, wears 235 for T-Mobile in the pink and the white colours. Jeremy Hunt for the Unibet team with the, how can I describe their colours? Well, I'll try and find them for and point them out. Steve Cumming for Discovery Channel. You can see Discovery there, the black and the white, but just he's got 103 on his back. Jeremy Hunt's got 248. Roger Hammond 235. Dave Miller 181.
Buzz.co.uk.
Well, whilst we're away, we had a bit of a bad crash here, and we're just waiting for confirmation on this and get us sign a rider. There's come an awful box of tricks, and this doesn't look very nice at all. But often they lie there and they wait quite rightly until the medics come along to make sure that they haven't broken anything. But I think he doesn't look too good at the moment. And we're so close towards the back end, by the way, of this, the 98th Milan San Remo, covering 294 kilometres today, that I don't think he's going to be up and running toward the finish, because we've got 2 lumps yet to come, 2 of the nasty little climbs, a Poggio and Cipressa yet to come. And if you've not got somebody with you and you've not got your legs in full form, then you might as well pack it on the head. Let's hope he's not badly knocked about, but I would suggest that probably, even if he gets up and gets on his bike, that there's, in fact, it's significant, I think, at the moment that I can't see any of his teammates are actually waiting for him. So just keep your fingers crossed back there, and let's hope that he's done nothing very dangerous indeed. These little things happen. There's so many riders still left in this race. We started out with what, 25.8, nearly 200 riders started, and a lot of anxious people in there getting towards the back end, jumping around. They're a bit tired, by the way. You imagine they've been riding their bikes now for something like about what, 4.5, 5 hours? No, maybe more than that, 5.5 hours. And tiredness sets in, and the weather's getting awful nasty, and so suddenly a touch of wheels and bound they. Well, he's not going to finish the race today, but let's keep your fingers crossed. This is bike racing, by the way, and this is what you have to put up with if you want to go into this sport. And obviously it looks like he's got a neck problem here. That's, well, you can see that, I can see it. Imagine the whole thing about bike racing as well, like any other sport, they've actually got the medics almost alongside what's going on, except perhaps things like marathon running and cross-country skiing and things like that, but you don't go thumping down onto tarmac and get hit by something. Bicycle racing, we're on roads. Imagine this race goes back to 1907, and they rode along this particular route, not exactly on the smooth surface like you see today, over the rough roads to begin with. They'll be riding over stony roads and terrible conditions, but we're looking at history in that respect. But of course, the speed at which they go now is phenomenal. They're going extremely quickly at the beginning part of this race. They were averaging something like about 42 kilometers an hour. That's around about 26, 27 miles an hour for the first 3 hours of the race. And imagine just touching a wheel at that speed and coming down. You see how close they are, how the front wheel to the back wheel, just a touch of wheels, bang, down you go, and all you've got is that simple crash hat on the top there, and you just don't, you never think about it, by the way. No bike rider who goes bike racing ever thinks about touching wheels and falling off and coming a box of tricks and ending up. You just don't think about it. I suppose any sports person, whatever you do, you never think about the dangers at all. We get stuck in, but they're travelling along. These riders at the moment, they're doing nearly 30 miles an hour in English muddy. The gap is coming down 48 seconds. They try to stay away, in the hope that the chase will slow down, which it doesn't anyway, but conversely they're pulling out the chasers, and each of those riders in that leading group from those 5 teams meant that those 5 teams behind could sit in the main bunch in the wheels, get the shelter, and wouldn't have to try so hard. So when we get towards the next part of the course, when we start to go over those last 2 short, sharp climbs, those 5 teams will have riders in there who fancy their chance today. They'll be in the wheels, in the bunch, sheltered, comfortable, in inverted commas, and capable to start doing what they had to do. So send their riders down the road. Sometimes they stay out there and win and get the victory, but conversely those teams have sent riders down the road can actually relax when it comes to the chase, because this is the first big single day classic of the year 2007. And before we get for the action, talking about riders who've done well in the past, Britain's Tom Simpson won this race, by the way, in 1964. As far as the Brits are concerned, but now we've got 4 of them riding in this race: Roger Hammond, David Miller, Jeremy Hunt and Steve Cummings. And we've also got, in terms of English-speaking riders, says he getting his breath back, we've got no less than 6 from Australia, 2 from South Africa, and 1 from New Zealand, and so we're now getting a complete change. As you see, you can read the script there, who these guys are off down the road, from the old days when it was completely dominated by the Italians or the French, and the Belgians would turn up and the Dutch would turn up. But we're now getting other nations from across the whole of the world taking part, and of course the bold Sean Kelly, who would have been with me in the commentary box today had it not been for his travel problems at the moment, who won this race in 1968 and 1992. And then going back through my records, oh no, another crash! Take your eyes off the screen, they all come down like a box of tricks. In fact, no, it is another one. The anxiousness of the first big single-day classic season of first single-day classic of the season. Now we're seeing the damage being done for various riders, and it looks like yes, one of the riders from Jeremy Hunt's team at the moment, 272 down there, and he's in, or 242, my mistake, who's not in a particularly good state. It's the wet. That's it. No, he just moved a bit, and it's so. I've never ever, but I can't remember the last time there was ever any rain on the Milan San Remo, and it's going to get worse towards the end. We've got lots of twists and turns yet to come, and bear in mind that the rain has only come down now onto this road surface, where a number of vehicles that there are in this part of the world, in fact the whole of Europe outside Great Britain, that have diesel, and in fact it's a knot that's come down from the Unibet team of Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy's a great sprinter, by the way, so he's lost one of his teammates, and Jeremy could have been in there with a bit of a shout today, I think. And well, if he could survive the distance, goodness knows, for Jeremy it must be a baptism of fire or baptism of dampness condition as at today. So trying to keep my eyes on the screen and my notes here, going on for the British speaking riders. Went through the whole lot there, but let's take our hats off, by the way. And I know he nips home after riding his bike to watch Eurosport's coverage of the various events we put out there. Can I say happy anniversary to Brian Robinson. 50 years ago he rode this Milan San Remo in 1957. 1957, Brian Robinson. Not only that, he finished third. Brian Robinson, third in the Milan San Remo in 1957, 50 years ago. He really pioneered the number of Brits that have come across to ride over in this part of the world. So please, for all those listening to coverage in English in other parts of the world than Great Britain, do bear with me, because we actually broadcast now to something over 100 million homes across the whole of Europe, and many of our know listen to our English broadcast. Do bear with me if I go sideways and sometimes talk too often about English riders, when I know you want to watch and listen to things much more international than that. But anyway, there are Brian Robinson. If you're watching back at home, well done, young man, and good to see you still out riding a bike. So that's it. I'll try now not to pontificate about we Brits any further beyond this, and come and concentrate upon the racing yet to come. And certainly it is going to be rather exciting. Our breakaway group will be completely absorbed. We'll hit those last two climbs of the day, and then, as they say, the proverbial is going to hit the fan. So who's going to survive the back end of this race? Stay with us to find out.
Shoes.
Welcome back. Bit of an aggravation there between one of our riders and the rider down to Cipressa. This is the big club. They're the leading group, by the way, 3 riders. They're almost been sniffing distance. Oh, we go again. Not a happy chap there, and I'm not surprised then that looked like Petito from the Liquigas team getting a bit upset, and ups, he's suddenly blown riders from the Tinkoff squad going backwards. Cipressa, this is where I think the big main pack are going to catch our breakaway riders. And what's happened here with Bettini? We haven't heard information on our headphones. One or two riders have been coming a box of tricks. He's coming up now on his own through the field. He must have had problems, as our leading group of riders who were fragmented somewhat, and this is the Escatel rider at the moment, Aitor Hernandez, who's surviving the climb. We saw Pavel Brut just a moment ago from the Tinkoff credit system being blasted out, and here they are. And he's also got with him still Kunitsky from the Aqua Sapona team. But further back, by the way, if you're watching earlier on, it looks like the rider, I think it was David Kopp, who came down, has been taken off to hospital. We'll try and find out more about that. As we're on the Cipressa right now, this is the first of the climbs which is going to cause damage. And imagine here, we haven't heard on our headphones yet what happened to Bettini. Look at the way this guy's going past everybody. The world champion, he knows he has to get up to the front before we go over the top of this climb and down the other side. And so right now, danger time for this climb up the Cipressa. It's a 3.5 mile climb, by the way. That's what, about 6 k's in English money. And look at the way he's going up. He's leaving everybody else. This is the world champion. This is the way he rode on, by the way, if you're watching our coverage of the Tirreno Adriatico, when he crashed on 3 days, and he struggled on, but he did that deliberately to get the miles in his legs, and he's now going to have to come up here because it's Cipressa. As we're now coming up the top of this one, well, it's, I'll say 3 mile climb anyway, toward the top of it, and they're going to be covering up there 272 kilometres they'll cover by the time they get there, and in the end of the race they're going to cover 294. So we've still got about, what, quick calculation here, about 20 odd kilometres yet to go, with the final climb of the day yet to come up the Poggio. So he's got to get up there. He needs to be up in the top 10, 20 places. So bad luck then, whatever happened to put Bettini back out the frame. The man who won this race in 2003, he knows it very well indeed, as Bettini. He knows exactly what he's got to do. And the attacks are going to coming, I think, at the front of the hopefuls, not the experts by any means. This is where the hopefuls are trying to stretch the legs and try and get a breakaway. We haven't had any breakaways for many years, by the way. And I know, as we're watching the lot here, coming up here, Verkler. Now, I've written him down, by the way, as a question mark, as somebody who might, in fact, no, he's been overtaken, by the way. And Liquigas firing riders up the front. I wonder what they're doing, because Passato won last year, has now switched, by the way. He's jumped ship from the Quick-Step team. In fact, I think it's him. Is that Passato? Let's go back and find out, because Passato, who rode last year for Quick-Step, jumped ships and joined the Liquigas team, and he's just going romping up there. Gosh, it's happening. The proverbial has hit the fan. Yes, it is. Look at the expression on his face. I don't think I've seen anybody this far out to go for the victory like he did last year, and it's all over his face. He's going to defend that number one. Passato is blowing the field apart, and over the top of this one, he's got a long drop down, and then a bit of a flattish bit before he hit the final climb of the day. And he's got Verkler, Hernandez, they said. Hang on. What am I getting wrong here? Or have they got the buttons pressed the wrong way? I never thought it would be Passato to go at this particular point. Surely, hang on, let's go back and find out. That's Verkler. This is typical Verkler territory. You see the red, white and blue bands around his arms. He's ex-French champion. He's a guy, by the way, about day 3 in the Tour de France years ago. Romped away with a group about 4 or 5 riders, took out the yellow jersey and kept it about 8, 9, 10 days and surprised a lot of people. In fact, no, it's I think Quinzato, is it? Let's have, didn't... There's no sense. Yeah, it is Quinzato that's gone. Excuse me getting excited, jumping up and down, by the way. Put the lid on it. Perhaps he's just been sent out. That's why I couldn't understand why Passato would have gone at this particular point. Calm down, David. Take a deep breath. Oh, is there a doctor in the house? Guy in the back here is shouting a bit. Oh, it's one of our... Oh, shut up and let him start shouting. But the officials are getting excited as well. You imagine riding all this long amount of time, so 5.5 hours or so, and being shouted at. Yeah, go back to, can I just get my breath back, about lone breakaways and trying to destroy the race. It's so controlled today. The gap between the top riders in the teams and the also rounds is so narrow now compared to what it used to be in the old days, because, oh, said the public, he's going to start talking about Fausto Coppi. Yes, he is, in 1946, and that's a long time ago now, what, 61 years ago. He actually was in a 147-mile breakaway, and he won by 14 minutes. And in 1948 he was on his own for 41 kilometres, 25 miles, and he won by 5 minutes and 17 seconds. And then in 1949, the following year, he was on his own for the last 32 kilometres. That's about, what, 12, 13 miles, and won by 4 minutes. So these things don't happen now. I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying the difference now, the control of the teams. But again, like Bettini here, you've still got to ride yourself up into the right place. It's no good, your team won't tow you up. He's had all sorts of problems further back, and he's still got to ride himself up there. And at the moment, I don't think he's as far as he would like to be. So let's wait and see what happens to him. In fact, one of the Quick-Step riders has come back to him, one of his teammates, to try and keep an eye on things. They have a big problem, by the way, at the moment, his team, as to who they support, because Quick-Step have got Paolo Bettini, 161, world champion there in the white jersey with the rainbow bands, and they've also got Tom Bonham, and well, he was happy, by the way. I've got a lovely picture when Paolo Bettini won. But Passato won last year, with Tom Bonham was back in 4th spot, throwing his arms in the air and being happy with the fact that Passato won last year and Tom was back in 4th spot. But on this occasion, of course, Passato is riding with the Liquigas team, so a love lost between those two. But how they sort out the differences maybe between Paolo Bettini from Quick-Step in the rainbow jersey and Tom Bonham, who wears 163 on his back. Oh, it's cheeky little chap. I think this is the same guy still going 7 bells at the front. Is that Quinzato from Liquigas stretching him on the top of this climb? In fact, now they've fired another rider down the road. This is Pelazzotti, by the way. And here is a useful rider as well. Pelazzotti is causing the trouble. So the Lucagas team are beginning to disturb the rhythm of this race. They've been firing riders up the road, leaving Pizzato back to sit in the wheels. And who's coming up to try and join him? Gerolsteiner. What about Stefan Schumacher? 135. Watch out. This 133 at the moment, and that's Andrea Moletta. I think he's just been sent up to market because Gerolsteiner, their top rider, Hulsler, is in there, and David Coppola has crashed out already. But they've got some very experienced riders in here. But the odd fellow, the odd one who I don't know if he's quite capable of riding today and blowing up at the back, but he's always been a bit different when it comes to tactics, is Stefan Schumacher, 135 from the Gerolsteiner team. So if you see those colours and go back down there, watch out for Schumacher, because he's likely to catch a few people napping, and he has been doing so all the back end of this year. So Gerolsteiner looks like they've decided to fire some off down the road and cause a bit of trouble further back. So you see what's happening here. Some of the teams who've got riders who could win this race, they're firing guys down the road to make sure the other start to chase them down. And Schumacher, if you're watching our covered training around Adriatico, he won. He took over won on stage 5, and briefly took over the lead on that occasion. He's much more, in my opinion, perhaps a stage rider than he's a single day rider. But I think they've decided they'll also have a bit of a go and get involved again. Discovery Channel having a go at it as well. Oh dear. All go, isn't it? Popovic. Now there, says he, again tapping the side of his nose, is a danger man, because sometimes they send down the road domestics who are just chopping blocks for the rest of the race, but this is no chopping block. He's got the capability, and this could cause trouble. And they've opened up a significant gap. Are they going to stay away? If so, what's the decisions and feeling back in the main pack? We shall see. Now I think they've recognised the danger now with Popovic going down the road, and Lampre beginning to accelerate as well in that pink and blue colours. Their man, Alessandro Ballon, he finished 8th last year, was it? And again, another person I think could probably do rather well, so I think they've got to close it down. Now if he starts going through Popovic and driving this one on over the other side, or has he just been sent down there as a marker? Hang on to your hats, it's been a bit damp, it's fortunately not too bad on this side, but this could be the danger zone, because if 3 riders can often on his head like this one in the damp, it's not too bad on these, but you see how nicely tarmac the road is, and only some lettering about it. It looks to me as if they've actually renovated this road recently. That's one thing that does happen, but if you want your road relaid in Italy or France or Spain, then you bring a big race along it, and then they make sure that the surface is good. Look at it, very nice, isn't it? And this is the back road. It's not the main road. They go up the Cipressa, they come back down to the main road, and to make sure that the race doesn't come up, and they make sure that the surface is jolly nice and smart. Can you imagine that back in Britain? My local lane, it hasn't been relayed for the last 50 years. I'm exaggerating. Popovic, Pelazzotti. Now there's 2 useful riders, by the way, both Popovic and Pelazzotti I would rate as not the sort of guys who are sent out there to be burying themselves just for the benefit of somebody else back in the main pack, and just sent down the road so that when the rain bunch comes past, they sit up, take a deep breath, have a nice large drink, and potter on towards the finish. Those 2 guys can go some. This looks very interesting indeed. Not long towards the next climb. The big one. Wash speed away. This has happened. Molita has gone a great box of tricks. Terrible crash, he's just gone off there. What a great shame then for Gerolsteiner. We always had Kopp go down a bit further, and he got it all wrong. And how could you have such a crash like that so bad? Not only did he hit the wall, he hit the lamppost as well. He's not very well, and he's with that breakaway group of 2 riders. Sorry, 3 riders. They're now down to 2 riders, and that's the problem, by the way. We've got, after the final climb of the day, another significant descent, exactly the same as that one, if not even, in fact, worse, off the top of the Poggio di San Remo. And this just shows you how these riders take their life into their hands on those very thin wheels, high pressure tyres, 110, 120 pounds per square inch pressure, and those very thin brakes. They come round the corners, and if you just lose it, bang, how you go. So still pressing on, our two breakaway riders, Pelazzotti and Liquigas and Popovic. These two guys, by the way, are very good, very confident, very skilled and very powerful. Are they going to stay away then? The breakaway group behind them beginning to try and catch them. It's rather, I think, completely chopped as they came round that corner. The main pack has been, I think, how can I put it, frightened may be the wrong word, but certainly they seem to ease back now. We've got two riders, and these two could cause a few problems. Both very confident. Well, if this was off the top of the final climb of the day, the Poggio, I would say they're in with a shout to win the race, but they've still got a long way to go as our cameras go back. We've seen so many crashes today. This is the high speed at which this racing is now fought out as we're in the year 2007. It's a new league. These guys, they really do earn their money, don't they? There's no going to the touchline and saying, oh, I'm hurting, running back onto pitch and then jumping around and playing the game again. When these guys come down, they come down. So very thought for them. When they started this morning in Milan, none of them had any thought about the fact they're going to fall off. On these very thin bicycles, travelling along at something around about a steady, at the moment, 35 miles an hour on the descent. And then they go up the big climb slowly but surely. When they come down the other side, they don't have any thought about the fact that they're going to come off. I think, by the way, this Milan rider has been sent down the road just to mark anybody trying to close that gap, because Celestino is a pretty strong rider, by the way, but perhaps he's prepared to have a go. I don't know. But no, he's just switched, he's gone on the wheel. If he comes past and starts riding, then he's been given the freedom, but I don't think so. No, he's just put his hand up there, by the way, to speak back to his team manager. Do I come through? Do I not come through? No. No, he's not going to come through. He's been sent down there just to put the lid on anybody going across that gap. Well, it's not Bucking Spade territory, is it? A bit on the chilly side and a bit damp. So our two leaders at the moment doing enormous damage back there. I think there's at the moment some indecision about trying to chase these two down, because there are two very good riders indeed. Or are they going to say, well, let's wait until we get the Poggio and we'll catch him on that? What a shame the other guy that was in on that breakaway came off. Oh, here they come. Now that's it. Hang on, no, we've gone back to, the camera's just flicked backwards and forwards. We've gone back to two chasers who are on their Todd. On the right hand side of your screen, the last check I think we have about 15-16 seconds. These two are going to get, on the left hand side, are going to get caught for sure. And who's doing the chasing? The size of this pack still there. I can understand why they're saying the big talk about a couple of years ago about putting another climb in or something to break this field up. There are so many riders still in with the shout as we get towards the back end of this race. Certainly looks then as if the Quick-Step team are beginning to put the pressure on here to try and pull back our two breakaway riders. Not surprising, they've got so much at stake then, the Quick-Step team, with Paolo Bettini, who, if you're switched on, by the way, he had a bit of a comeuppance further back and took some time to get into the main field on his own. Don't exactly know what happened to him, but we've still got that breakaway twosome 26 seconds down the road. Pelazzotti to Liquigas in that lime green, and also the Popovic from Discovery in the black and the blue. So both those two teams won't do any chasing. Jolly good fun. There's Bettini in the rainbow jerseys as the world champion. He's fought his way back, and so the Quick-Step team in front are putting the pressure on here. They've not only got Bettini in the rainbow jersey being concentrated upon by our cameras, because well, he's from Italy, and this race is in Italy, but also in there 163 ex-world champion Tom Boonen, who finished fourth this time last year round. So in the blue and the white, the Quick Step team are doing what they can to pull back. They've recognised now, by the way, these two guys are dangerous, and on that final climb then up the top of that nasty little Poggio with the dampness coming down as well, it's going to disturb the chase. They have to do the flattening before they get to that one, because once you come off the top of the climb, they've covered 288 kilometres of the 294. So if my arithmetic is correct, is that 6 kilometres toward the finish? That's about 3 miles in toward the finish. So they've got to close the gap down now, and they've got to split this field, otherwise it's going to be all hell let loose. Although from the 200 riders at start this morning, we're down now to probably no more than about 60, 70 of them, but still a lot. They're certainly doing what they've been sent out to do, because they're drawing the chase. Pelazzotti from the Liquigas team, of course, is riding. If you've just been switching on and haven't caught up what's happened, then Pozzato won this race last year. He jumped ship from the Quick Step team and now doing the chasing down. But Pozzato is sitting in the main pack with number 1 on his back, and Pelazzotti down the road is stretching it somewhat. And Popovic likewise is doing some damage, which means, as far as his team is concerned, the Discovery Channel, I won't say they can actually take it easy, but there we are in the black and blue and the white. If you're switched on, by the way, Pozzato, I've certainly mentioned about him there, but Discovery Channel, he also in his main pack behind him, or the main field. I wonder how Steve Cummings is going on, because we've got lots of Brits who start in this race. Give a quick build-up. I've never seen so many Brits riding in the Milan San Remo, so please excuse me, those of you who were on air when we started an hour or so ago, if I mentioned that we have got no less than 4 Brits in the race this time around. Those who are not from Great Britain, they were saying, well, please give us international coverage, because we want to know what our riders are doing. Bear with me while I just say that in the race today we've got Roger Hammond, who's riding in this race. He's finished, what's it, 20-something last year. He's finished twice in this big race. You'll spot him down there in the main pack for T-Mobile, 235. David Miller also riding, 181 for Sonia Duval. And Jeremy Hunt from the Unibet team. And out there as well, Steve Cummings. So we've got Hammond, Miller, Hunt and Cummings. And of course Dario Cioni, who was born in Reading, is also riding there for the Predictor Lotto team. So the proverbials hit the fan, and this is where it gets very rough indeed up that big climb. The first time we went over the Poggio, by the way, was way back in 1960. That was what, some 47 years ago. They did it just to add to the difference and try and break the field. They didn't put the Cipressa in until much later after that. And so these are the 2 climbs we've put in since that race was first started way back in 1907. But it doesn't do too much damage until they fit that final climb of the Poggio. And down the other side, we've often had 20, 30, 40 riders who come together for the final sprint. And it looks like our 2 breakaway riders are going to get themselves absorbed any minute now. CSC on the front, the black and the red, starting to put the pressure on, closing that gap down, and they're doing all the work right now. And they've got a big strong squad here, and they've got Frank Schleck then from Luxembourg, 191, in with a shout. Cancellara, great time trialist, driving hard as well. And the unusual, by the way, I wonder how we're going to see Johan Yossi Hato, 195 on his back, the Argentinian rider. But for my money, I think they're riding hard today. Not for Frank Schleck, he has a chance, by the way, but Stuart O'Grady is probably in with a shout in this race today. Stuart's been looking very good. He was 3rd in the year 2004, so the black and red colours maybe setting it up for him, either Stuart O'Grady or maybe Frank Schleck. We shall see. So they're going to catch these 2 riders now. 2 breakaways are going to find themselves out of the frame. Well, Lamprey, Milram been doing the damage, CSC been doing the damage. They're pulling back now. This is probably the longest sprint in the world, isn't it? When you think about it. I've been riding all day. The early climb that we had way back some time ago over the Ticino didn't split things up. Breakaway group of what, 5-6 riders got caught in the end. It's down to this final climb. Just seen David Miller in that group for Sonia Duval. He's up near the front at the moment. All the Brits very pleased. The yellow colours, 181 of David Miller. And well, for a man who just took the prologue time trial in the Paris-Nice just about 10 days ago now, he's up there. I spotted him looking down there at the moment, and again I think I can see him nicely poised towards the front. How amazing. Well, I shouldn't say that because that's unbelievable. He's riding comfortably at the moment, and a lot of his teammates as well are beginning to get themselves up the front, but they've got to split this thing, by the way. There's too many riders at the moment. This is almost like a traffic jam. Who's going to be going off down the road? Well, it's certainly going to be the riders from Discovery are starting to fire this one off. Discovery Channel decide that they'll try to do something about it. Well, Popovic went in that break to begin with, got caught, went again. We don't get the right impression, by the way, when you come up here. I've come up in motorcars, by the way. When you come up, you don't really take into account how steep it is. But they haven't split it. They're going quickly, but amazing there to see Efkin, by the way, Efkin, sorry, from the Bala World team having a bit of a go. They've got to start blowing a few people out the back. Oh, guess what? Believe it or not, popping up into the frame, Oscar Freire from Rabobank, 171 on his back. Looking very good indeed, quite comfortable. A lot of top riders here. We've got so many class riders today. And that, by the way, Ricardo Rico from Sonia Duval from the same team. He's in the yellow jersey on the far side. What a great ride that he had as well in Tirreno Adriatico. Popovic, who went just down the road on his todbob with 12. And there we go. He's over the top, down the other side. Can he hang on? Can he stay upright? Oh, hold your breath. Turn your granny's face to the wall. This is going to be one which is not for the faint-hearted when they start going whizzing down the other side. I think I'm going to shut up and find myself a dark corner. The standard and quality of the bike riders today is unbelievable, as the teams have put together some classy riders who start training way back in late November, early December. In the old days, they didn't start riding this Milan San Remo until they got just about 600,000 miles in their legs, training down in the south of France and so on, and then they start to ride this one with all strength. But now they come into this race absolutely flying, as fit as when they finished last year's season, and they're rocketing through here. Unbelievable, the quality, the standard, and it's making it so much more difficult. In fact, I suppose if you're a bookie, you could smile away to the bank, because who the heck could pick to wins? No, Rico is having another go. We hear him having another go. What a cheeky little chap he's been. He's surprised so many people in the Tirreno Adriatico, and now the whole of this race is being blown apart at the seams. Popovic, I think, is now gone out the back. I think that's Rico here, just sitting on the wheels. Whoop, 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 whoop. He's gone through. Absolutely amazing. That little Ricardo Rico is destroying the race here. Coming into this season, he'd won practically nothing. And up he pops, blows the pants off everybody in the Tirreno Adriatico. One stage 3, one stage 4, had the yellow jersey. And now he's trying to destroy this lot. Can't believe it. Where'd he come from? That surprised a number of other team managers and the guys at the back, the grey-haired experts, who suddenly found a new kid on the block. And you can see back there that Bettini has had the panic button hit as well. Because they're all sitting there, they can see the spot you're seeing on the screen. The team manager driving the following cars, and they have this communication between themselves and the riders up in front, which we didn't used to have in the old days. And they talk to them in the earpieces, and they dictate the tactic. You do this, you do that. And in fact, Philippe Gilbert is another rider who said he's going to win this race this year. And when he boasted that, it was in cyclingnews.com. I think I saw it 2 or 3 days ago, and he actually said, "I'm going for the race this year." And so he's scrabbling through his bits of paper. I took a note of that, and I thought, where did he finish last year? And if I can read that and keep an eye on the screen at the same time, I'll tell you where he finished last year. But Philippe Gilbert, he finished 32nd last year, by the way. Philippe Gilbert in the same time as the winner, but he said he's going to win this year. Well, from 32nd to first, we shall see. Got some class stuff coming up here to chase them down. Oh, little devil himself is in there. Gosh, what a race. Out the saddle, bouncing around. Riders all trying to... That's everyone for himself, by the way, to help with the team tactics, as we just seen the whole thing being blown apart at the seams. Philippe Gilbert and young Rico. Thank goodness the dampness we had earlier on has now dried out on this descent. Some riders come off the top just like the vermin off a shovel. Remember that time when Sean Kelly won the race way back then in 1992, and he came down here and down to the finishing straight. Madame Ardintan thought he got it done and dusted, and now they see Bettini going. I remember in the finishing straight, as Ardintan was still Ardintan was still going what looked like a victory, and they heard that Kelly come off the top of this climb like a bat out of hell, and he caught Ardintan going in the last maybe 500-800 meters, and the atmosphere was cheering, and suddenly when they said, oh, okay, in Italian they said that Kelly had caught Ardintan, and you could have cut the air with a knife. It was suddenly like death, bang, nothing, quiet, because they knew that Kelly was a phenomenal finisher, and boom, he got the record. Amazing. I'll never ever forget that, by the way, the sound, or the lack of sound, when Ardintan was caught by the pole Sean in 1992. So are these two going to get caught as well? Let's hear what the crowd has to say. They're not too bothered by that right now, because except behind whether Bettini's going to catch these two. There he is, Didier guy. Very skillful bike rider. You have to have complete control of your bike, absolute courage to go down here. They've been training, by the way, many of these riders. They do this descent to get the hang of it, but of course the difficult thing is when you're training on the course, because the average public are out there with their little fit 4x4s or whatever they're driving round in, you can't go whacking down here, going from one side of the gutter to the other, because a grandma might be coming up the other way in a little old clapped out motor, and so with 3Ks to go, you can't come down here at a great rate of knots, so you can't just understand how to take every corner flat out. So they're doing it for the first time, absolutely eyeballs out. And Bettini looks good at the moment to me. He's probably got the best sprinters a lot, but certainly the Lamprey team are beginning to get some other riders in there which are quite useful. I have Lamprey set up this time for Ballin, who has 141 on his back, and that would be an interesting thing, because it suggests he might be able to get in amongst it all. So Ballin could be in with a shout. They're not doing all that work for nothing. These are two riders in the front still hanging on for grim death. Ballin certainly looks like he's going to have a go at this one, I think, for the Lamprey team, if they catch these two riders. Philippe Gilbert and Rico are still hanging on for grim death, and yes, Ballin looking for the sprint finish then. Ballin could be in with a shot if they catch them. These two are not the world's greatest sprint. They've got to keep driving. And Gilbert looks back. Rico's the first time here, I think, riding this race. And Well, there's still a lot of riders still in there wondering what on earth to do, but nobody seems to know. Well, it's Oscar Freire for Rabobank, 171. See him on the screen in the orange and the blue. Still sat in the midst of this group, looking for a wheel to follow. Are they going to catch the leaders as the work's still being put on? They look like they're going to catch them. Oh, Gilbert's done all the work. There's no way two riders now can surely stay away from the big heaving bunch. Okay, then, all you people back at home, talk about yourselves. Who's going to win the sprint today? Is it going to be then Passato won it last year around? Will Bettini get in there? What about Tom Bonan? Has he made it over the top? They're going to catch him. It's going to be all down to big sprint finish after 184 miles of racing. It's going to be a sprint finish from these top 20 or 30 riders at front. And still again, Lampre still driving half of Balan to try and see if he'll get it then. The field is coming back together and Milram start to put it on the pressure to close the gap too as well. Whoa! And round they go. For Milram, they've got Pataki and they've got Eric Zabel in the pale blue with the YG stripe is going down. They've done all the work to put the riders in contention. I see as Milram there. Certainly, Milram have put 1, 2, 3, 4 riders in there. What a brilliant piece of bike riding by the Milram riders. And Oscar Freire's moving into the good position as well. Milram start to wind it up right now. And it looks like a Milram benefit. The blue and white jerseys here then for Pataki and Zabel being led out by some big hitters. They've got Saki and Velo, probably two of the best riders in the business. But Oscar Freire's got onto a wheel. Which wheel has he chosen? Has he chosen one of Pataki or Zabel? He's straight to the right. In fact, Freire's going to get it. He's got it. He found the right wheel and he came off the wheel and he got it. Well. After 294 miles, almost virtually on his own, found the right wheel and came through and got the victory yet again. The winner in 2004, the winner in 2007, Oscar Freire. Three times world champion. He's openly said he wants to go for the fourth this year. With this sort of form, who can stop him? An amazing guy, all the way from Spain, for the flattest country in Europe, Holland, riding for Rabobank, showed yet again what skill he'd got in picking the right wheels and going at the right time to take the victory. What a lead out, look at that. He just kept cool on the wheel. Off we go, on the left. Wow. In fact, I don't think that, I'll wait for the official result though, I'm more watching him, but I don't think that Pataki or Zabel were in the top half dozen. They're the big hurly-burly in the middle, coming in a bit late, Tom Bonan, but he also left it to see Stuart O'Grady was in there in that top half dozen. There goes Freire. Oof, I'd like to choose that between that little lot, but I think Bonan might have been third in the sprint and probably maybe fourth or fifth could have been O'Grady. I'll wait for the fifth confirmation of that one because it was a bit close at the end of it all. Discovery Channel managed to pop somebody in the sprint. Was that Popovich? I don't know, because who was sprinting on the right hand side of the Discovery Channel? One big hurly-burly guy there. Popovich being rather excited towards the end, having a go. I don't think it's our own Steve Cummings. I did say he's a bit of an animal, riding his socks off, and has ridden some 15 races so far this year, finished every one, has caused a few problems on the way through, but no doubt about who the winner was. Oscar Freire wins yet again the Milan San Remo. Wow, well done, Oscar. And we've only got confirmation there, and we've got a bit of a hurly-burly at the back end. In fact, Alan Davis then, who was head of Tom Bonan, I spotted this Discovery Channel rider coming through, and certainly Alan Davis is a digital sprinter specialist, and he managed to pop into ahead of Tom Burnham, so that's the order. Nice to see the Australian, who's been always there or thereabouts. You could never discard him from any of the bunch sprint finishes like that, and I must apologise if I didn't put him in the frame when it came to finish at the back of it all. But there we are then, that's the result while we wait for further placing further back, and there we are, Oscar got. In fact, yes, I don't see Davis knew exactly which field to follow. That's clever, but in the end, well, for my money, I thought Tom Burnham might have got second, but he passed on the way through. 153, so that's surely got to be, so checking his, yes, Robin McEwen, I thought it was. So my goodness, we've got the Australians coming swarming in. They got second and they got fourth everywhere, and there's Oxy Zabel on the far side. So Robin McEwen just out of the frame of the top three, but not much by the way. And on the far side there's Eric Zabel and one of the CSC popping up between the two, which I think was oh my god, O'Grady. Oh jeez, I mean they play jolly good cricket, don't they, in Australia? Now they've got damn good bike rides. Look, they've got 3 rides in the first 5 places. Oh dear, I didn't get to the Tour Down Under this year, but I did on the way back from the event out there in Malaysia, the Tour Langkawi. Bumped into Robin McEwen at the same airport and I came back, so I didn't get to the Tour Down Under, but the officers are popping all over the place. I think at the moment they've got Alan Davis, Stuart O'Grady and Robin McEwen in the top half dozen places. We shall see the official confirmation later on, but no doubt about who won the race today, all the way from Spain, was that special Spanish sprinter Oscar Freire, riding for a company based in Holland, the big Rabobank squad. And that gives you some idea of how high that slope is. Look at that on the right hand side. You probably can't get it when they go riding up, just the sheer way in which those riders rocketed up there and still came back together at the far side. But no doubt about it, it's a fascinating race. As to whether they put something further back down to break the race, well, I don't know, but it's quite an interesting race. I mean, the longest sprint I ever know, but certainly Freire knows his way through and he got the victory today. So the Milan San Remo over and done with after the 100th anniversary of this race, and the victor all smiles as ever, lovely character, oh no doubt about it, 3 times world champion. There you are, look, see, 31 years old, still knocking spots off everybody else. So I can't hear about the background coming on here about the I don't think you can actually hear it in your background, but we've got a different angle of him now, Oscar, getting the sprint, and there in the right side, that's Alan Davis in the black and the blue. If the camera goes across, we'll pick up the rest of the Australians en masse. Well, I think we're ahead of schedule, by the way. I don't think we're due to go off quite a bit coverage from Eurosport, so we might be getting lots of lovely pictures of San Remo. And in fact, yes, we're beginning to get it. There are. So Alan Davis, Rob McHugh, Surrogate, so right, Derek Sauer back there, Balducci and Pataki. That is the official result. So in the end, 3 Australians in the top 10. They can celebrate that, I'm quite sure. So well done to Oscar Freire in this, the 100th anniversary of the running at the Milan San Remo. A superb victory. Waiting to get a chance perhaps of the presentation at the end. We just haven't got the trouble this year when oh, he's turned up, by the way. He had his 40th birthday, the great Cipollini, sometime during this last week, and said a few things. In fact, I remember somewhere who he said might win the race today, but I didn't write it down, by the way, but he did pass a few comments about who would be the victor, Cipollini. Nice to see him here looking fit and well. He won the race way back in 2002, and this man then, who won in 2004, now he's got his name on the books again in 2007. Oscar Freire from the Rabobank team. Just looks like he's been for a trip around the block, doesn't he? That's amazing how quick they recover from the efforts of racing. I didn't actually write down the time as he takes his celebration now, but last year I've certainly about 6.5 hours they were racing, and they do it about like 25 miles an hour, and he still pops up, gets a victory, and he's all smiles and doesn't look like he's done more than ride around the block. Well, whilst we're going through all this little lot, just let me wave the flag for Eurosport, because we're going to be covering the World Track Championships, and I hope you'll be joining us on that particular occasion. And they'll be starting on Thursday the 29th, as he's going to pop the fizz, and we're going to be covering the World Track Championships for the full 4 days, and front and back the programs with pieces out of the studio, and David Harmon will be out there on site. We'll be sitting in the studio pontificating as ever about what's going out there. We look forward to coming that particular occasion. And Willie Moore will be out with David Harmon at the World Track Championships, and we're getting 1 or 2 experts. Simon Jones is joining us, by the way, so at least you'll be hearing some words of wisdom if you're going to watch the World Track Championships on Eurosport this coming week. Oscar Freire, well, he won't be involved on the track, by the way, but if we get sprint finishes like this, then it's certainly going to be quite an exciting time. We're on air most of the afternoon, most of the early evenings, and I hope you join us. Okay, just check the coverage in your radio times, TV times, whatever the case may be. I look forward to coming to that occasion then. And of course, we'll be back in action with the rest of the road racing as and when it starts after that. Well then, Oscar Freire, well done, congratulations, young man. And for those who back at home who have been joining us on this occasion, thanks for your company. Be rather lonely without you. Bye bye.